Hello, kings, queens, and royalty in between, and welcome or welcome back to my pocket of the internet. Yeah. We're in my car for reasons I just don't feel like disclosing for a third time, and so I'm not going to. Today we're going to be doing a 12-hour readathon. When you see a lot of these videos, there is a TBR. Here's the thing. I don't read that fast. I am faster than some on my Kindle. However, when I'm reading a physical book, I average about 30 to 45 pages a book per hour. What? Per book? Per hour? Yes, per hour. And so I'm not the fastest reader on planet Earth. And so the only book I have on my agenda today is to get through a fat chunk of Ashes of the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Bartlett. I finished Serpent in the Wings of Night, not yesterday, but the day before, and that was phenomenal. I've put this off for so long. I started Serpent in the Wings of Night. If I had waited until September, it would have been 2 years in September, and then I soft DNF'd it. And so I just haven't gone back to this in almost 2 years. Crazy concept to say out loud, but that's besides the point. Okay. Any hoozles. So yes, the only goal for today is get through. I can read about 100 pages in like 6 hours, so I'm on page 94. What is that? Oh, no, I don't want to read that. This book is 578 pages, and I'm on page 94. By the end of this, I would love to be at least 100, maybe 200 pages deeper than I am. So I would love to hit 294 by the end of today. But that may be unrealistic. But it is 12 hours. Who knows? At this point, who knows? I'm going to be doing 7:30 to 7:30. And yeah, that's the plan. It is currently 6:46 a.m. Never mind. I'm stopping nowhere. I'm about to just sit here for a minute and process life. We'll do 7 to 7 or 7 to 7:30. This is a hot mess because it's 6:48 a.m. So bear with me. But I'm about to head back to my apartment and just start because we're already here. Might as well get going. I'm so tired. Okay, we're back in my humble abode with terrible lighting that I don't have the energy to fix because it's 7:06. I was supposed to start 7:07 now. I was supposed to start 7 minutes ago, but my cat decided to be a cat. And all that entails, so I had to handle that. So I'm already a little bit on edge, if you will. But I have my timer set up on my laptop. And so we're going to get started. Oh, this is a wild place to start at 7 o'clock in the morning. Don't look at me. I'm only 100 pages in and I already have almost cried like 3 different times. I'm not well. Okay, friends, we are officially an hour and 2 minutes into our readathon. I just paused the timer so I could chat to you for a little bit. We have a reading buddy situation. So this angle, not flattering at all. This lighting, still terrible. Audio, probably not great because I couldn't find the attachment for my microphone. But we are going to keep it pushing. I am now on page 140 of Ashes in the Starker King. I started on 94, so if we do quick math in our heads, is 140 minus 94. 36 pages. Wow, that took way too long. But I have read 36 pages this hour. Average for my reading speed. I'm not telling you a god dang thing about this book because this is the second in a duology. So, but all I do have to say is, for not even being like, I'm like a sixth, a fifth maybe of a way through the book. Shit has hit the fan like 4 different times because I don't know. All right, I don't know, but we're about to hop back into it. I just need to check in and be like, this is crazy. We're moving at an average pace. All right, me and my fine furry friend are gonna hop back in to the book, and I'll check back in with you later. Hello, my besties. I have officially made it a good chunk of the way through the book now. I am on page 280 something. That's not right. Ha! Very wrong. 228. I just hit chapter 30 of Ashes in the Starker's King, and I am stressed. We are officially 3 full hours of reading into our readathon. We just stopped at 9 hours left. I am so stressed. So deeply, deeply stressed. I keep texting a friend of mine, Cleo, who has already read this book, and I'm just like, I'm going to strangle him. Because I have such deep annoyance at some of the decisions that have been made. Not because they don't make sense, but because I wish things were different, but it makes sense to the story. Like, I also would be equally annoyed if things were going better than they were as early in the book as we are. So I don't know. It's a very complicated notion that I'm feeling right now. I am going to keep reading. It's currently 10:32 a.m. I have paused the timer a few times to like go to the bathroom or to like update other people on my reading. So it's 10:32 a.m. I'm going to read for another hour and a half until noon, and then I'm going to pause the timer, get some lunch. I will check back in with you before I leave for lunch. But yeah, this is a very short update because literally all I can say about it is I am so stressed. So stressed. So stressed. I I have a really fun angle to update you that I lasted a whole 30 minutes. It is now 11:02 a.m. and I am in the middle of a chapter, but I am a chronic stopper in the middle of a chapter because I am crazy. But anyways, I'm so hungry. So my update is my feelings are getting hurt. And I'm hungry. A terrible situation to be in. But I'm gonna go eat. And then I will update you once I've gotten like back in to the rhythm of reading. So I'll check in about like an hour-ish or so. Yeah, I'll check back in later. Okay, friends, we are back in my apartment with terrible lighting and update of sorts. I now officially have about 3 hours and 20 minutes left of this readathon, and I am on page 354. Currently, I just got to chapter 47, which means so far we have read. I like how I pretend like I can do mental math. Un momento, por favor. Thank you. So today in total, during this current readathon with about 3.5 hours left, I have read 260 pages of Ashes in the Starker's King in one day. I think that is an accomplishment for me. Now, honestly, it might be ambitious actually to commit to finishing this today, but I will finish this tomorrow if I don't finish this today, which is really exciting news for me, because that means I will have read 5 books in the month of June. I haven't done that since February. It's been a rough year, but that's so exciting that I've read so much already. We're gonna have a very chillax update because this has hurt my feelings so many levels. So a lot of people, when they talk about this first duet, say that it's enemies to lovers twice. And when I heard that, I was like, that makes about this much sense. I'm so confused. What do you mean by that? Reading it, I understand what they were trying to convey, but that's not quite, because it's like not really like it is. They were so right in saying that, because I am on page 354 and they just now got on the same page again. Like, it took 354 pages for them to be even remotely on the same page. So yes, they were right in saying it that way. If and or however, I also feel like that's just not quite right. But do I have a better explanation? No. So what? Who am I going to? Whatever. I'm gonna reset my timer to, because I was out and about, so I didn't have my laptop with me, to 3 hours and 20 minutes, and then we're gonna get right back to reading. We're just gonna get right back into it. And my fine furry friends, I fear this book will take me out. I don't know where I'm going after this, like finishing this book, but I feel that's a later me problem. So we're just gonna get back into it. So it is in fact the next day. So fun fact, I abandoned the timer and we have completed Ashes of the Starker's King. I did not complete it within the timer because I did go to
bed. But by the time I'm finishing this outro, I have finished Ashes of the Star-Crossed King. Here's the non-spoiler version. This was phenomenal and a really great this was a really great not wrap up, but closing of one thing while continuing the underlying story. Because, like, this is going to be a series of 6 books, but they're written in duologies, which is really an interesting way of doing it because it really just breaks it up. So you can just read these 2. I wouldn't recommend it. There's so many open plot holes. You should continue. But anyways, I think this was a perfect conclusion of focusing on Rain and Aurea. That is the non-spoiler version. The spoiler version is that my heart was ripped out of my chest. Oh my god. Skip ahead if you don't want spoilers for Ashes of the Star-Cursed King, because I simply am about to unleash my inner demons. So here's that. I need to express how batshit Nyaxia is. This goddess is actually insane. She asks for this to save her life. Like, it's almost mirrored to what Nyaxia's story is, where how she lost her husband. And Nyaxia's like, you should have just let it be a frozen flower. Because she refused to end this almost utterly pointless squabbling between the Rishon and the Hiyaj. And that is so wild. Like, Nyaxia is actually fucking crazy. And then, thank God for the other goddess that I refuse to pronounce her name wrong, so I'm not going to pronounce it at all, who came down and was like, I will help you if you promise to do right by the kingdom and promise to do right by what I'm looking at. And I have full faith in them. I have full faith in them to do that. Anyways, Vincent, the complicated character you are, I kept going back and forth on how I felt about him, even from the beginning, even from book 1 before he died. I literally was going back and forth so much on how I felt about him, and I continued to do that because Aurea kept doing that. Like, she kept going back and forth on, like, I hate this man, I hate that he lied to me for so long, I hate that this is what's going on, but I still love him, he's still my dad, he still loved me, but he lied. And it's just like, this story is such a strong representation of grief and, like, needing answers from someone who is no longer here. It reminds me, okay, this is gonna sound so weird, but stick with me. How it's portrayed reminds me a lot of Beach Read by Emily Henry. How January found out that her dad had a affair with another woman, and, like, what that means, and that she needs all these answers, and she wants to ask all these angry questions, and, like, she feels such anger, but she'll never be able to ask those questions. That's kind of how this is, except it's different because it's a fantasy. So, like, towards the end, she actually was able to talk to him. I don't know how else to explain that, but it was wild to read. But just that way of, like, if the feeling of so seen of, like, I have all these questions that you never answered, I have all of these things that I'm finding out that you lied about, like the fact that she's half vampire and that she has all of this ability and that she is his heir, and yet finding out all of that after he died, and then not being able to ask questions like, why did you hide this from me, why did you whatever, and then you kind of get answers to those questions towards the very end with stuff that happens. But it was just like, that is such a strong representation of grief in the story. And Rain never asking her to do more than what she could give. Like, towards the end, he was like, I love you, and I just needed you to hear me say that, because they're going into war. They're going into a war, to a battle. And he's like, I love you, and I just needed you to hear me say that. And he never asked for her to say it back. And then throughout the whole story, you get Rain's point of view, and he talks about like, I love her with everything in me, but I know I'm not what she wants, even though he is. Like, this man was stupid. But anyways, the things I would do for this man are actually quite crazy, but that's beside the point. Throughout the story, you get his point of view as well, and just hearing like the reason he did everything was to save her life. Like, the reason he wanted to do all these things, the reason he even agreed to do this god awful agreement with Septimus was because he thought he wouldn't live to see it and that he would just save his life. But what he didn't see was that he just took someone away from Maria when everything has been taken from her. And so she's like, you made me kill you. The whole scene where she was like, you made me kill you. I literally puddle of tears. Literally could not do it. It was so bad. And anyways, so moral of the story, this was 5 stars. I have started 6 Scorched Roses, which I found out after I finished this that it's technically meant to be read in the middle, but I'm finding I am liking it a lot reading it post these 2. But that's beside the point. Yeah, so I am unwell, but that will be the end of our 12-hour readathon turned Ashes of the Star-Cursed King reading vlog. There weren't a lot of like vocal updates, I'm realizing. I did my best, okay? I am just a girl, but I had a lot of fun filming this. I had a lot of fun filming my reactions to certain stuff. And when I tell you I was flooding a friend of mine, Cleo's DMs about this, because she's read the whole series that's been put out so far. And so I have been flooding her DMs, and I'm just like, what the frick did I just read? What? So that was a wild experience. This book was crazy, but it was such a good secondary to the start of that book, of Separate in the Wings of Night. So I will be continuing. I fear I'm gonna binge the rest of the series and then just be in agony for the last 2. Anyways, that is all I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this reading vlog / readathon thing. I love and I'm really proud of myself that I read actually like most of this book in one sitting, and that was really cool for me. I love you all so very much, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.